Thinking about starting your career in data in 2025, or you want to level up, in this video I'm going to be showing you things you need to learn so that you're not going to get confused and so you're not going to waste months in learning different things. First of all, welcome to my cyberspace. Now let's get right into it. In my previous video, I talked about one of the things you need to know before you get into data field. In case you've not checked that out, it's going to be linked in this description and go check it out. In case you're interested in learning data and you probably registered for a bunch of boot camps or you watch a bunch of YouTube videos and you're still confused, you probably don't know that if you're going to learn anything. But first of all, I want to say that give yourself some grace. The experts that you see today, they did not just get there overnight, and a lot of times learning is like a steep curve. It takes a while before you eventually start to see the results. But other than that, you also don't want to waste your time scrolling through YouTube or paying for different courses, and you eventually waste your time, or you are not even sure if it's the right path for you. And interestingly, there are different aspects of data that you can actually focus on that would be very easy for you to get into data analysis faster. And one of the issues I try to say is that people are trying to learn data the wrong approach just because of what they see out there, and that is why I'm making this video to give you that clarity. One of the first things you want to do is you want to start from the basics. You want to understand the data analytics techniques and the fundamentals. Don't just rush into learning all the tools you hear out there. If you the person who would pick up Excel today, pick up Python, pick up Tableau, pick up Power BI, pick up SSIS, SSRS, and you're just trying to learn or have an idea of each of these tools like silos, you probably might not have a better understanding of what you're doing. And one great thing about all of these tools is that there is a lot of transferable knowledge, such that when you're using one tool, if you're very good at it and you need to use a different tool, it's going to be easy for you. So the right strategy would not be to know how much of stuff, is to know something very well, such that you're very good at it. And how can you work with that strategy and that approach? And I'm not going to be talking about go through this approach, and I'm going to give you options of what to do. One of the things you could do is, if you've not started at all, you might want to start off with Excel, and you might not want to start off with Excel. So learning Excel is a little bit friendly, something you could install on your laptop. It's probably something you have already on your device. And I would say that I don't think you should go deep into learning Excel that well. Just understand the basics on how to transform data. If you know how to use Excel to an extent, then you can go deep into one of the visualization tools. That's either Power BI or Tableau. If you're probably asking more recommendation as to use, I would say maybe Power BI, because they have the ecosystem is bigger. A lot of companies are using Power BI. Stay in learning Power BI for a moment and build a ton of Power BI projects, because a lot of companies out there are actually looking for people who are very good at building visualization. So learn Power BI maybe for a month or two, or just work on a lot of projects, and don't jump from learning certifications. If you're going to stick with the Tableau route, stick with the Tableau route. If you're going to stick with Power BI, stick with Power BI. In case you're wondering what these tools are, both of them are literally almost the same tool for making data visualization. I mean, to an extent, there's other tools you could use, but they are one of the very popular ones to make visualization. So when you learn Power BI to an extent, one of the things I would really advise you, start to learn how to use SQL, because just knowing how to use SQL, and when you learn how to use SQL, I'm not even saying you should get into the advanced SQL aspect, just get into the intermediate aspect of SQL. When you get into the intermediate aspect of SQL, where you can pull your data clean, your where closely order by, then one of the things you also want to do is to work on projects where you're working both with SQL and Power BI. In case you're looking for a sample project of what to do, I have all of this video also in my channel, or you could check out different other channels in case you want to learn about them. So learn Power BI and SQL. Work on a couple of projects that you would use Power BI and SQL. And that thing also is, you might also want to focus on the sector to do a lot of projects on. If it's healthcare, if it's finance, or whatever sector, that is one of the things that would help you start to build domain knowledge and experience about some of the terms in that particular industry. As you're learning all of this, start to read books or watch more videos that talk about how do data analysts think. not just videos that talk about the tools in itself. So things that talk about like, oh, this is how you analyze the data, this is the thinking process, this is what you should do, this is what you should not do, like how would you relate to stakeholders. Know all of those things, because those are really the first few questions they ask in an interview before they even get to ask you if you can use a tool. Because in the interview, they're not going to ask you to do all the things you would need to do, because sometimes you would also have to in fact learn on the job if you're working with core teams and if you have an idea of what you're doing. So you've learned Power BI, you've learned SQL, you have an idea of what Excel is. Most organizations don't really use Excel every day for data analysis, so I don't think you should go deep into it, but having an idea about it is great. When you know that very well and you've worked on a couple of projects, then you can try to say if you want to like maybe go into like the programming route. But before going into the programming route, you can start to understand some basic things about other tools, like say maybe SSRS, SSIS, maybe Google Cloud, GCP, Azure Studio. So just start to have some idea about like almost everything. So the approach initially is to start off with something, two tools that you go deep to an extent, then you start to have a little bit of idea about the different tools. If you want to choose like a programming language between Python and R, I would probably recommend you use R because it's more user friendly. We have wider communities. There's also like, it's just easier to use and to learn. And if you know how to use R very well to an extent, then you can switch to learning Python. So there's just so many things. There is also quantitative, qualitative data analysis. That's people who do some level of analysis, but they don't necessarily work with numbers that well. They use tools like Atlas TI. There is also geospatial analysis, and a lot of people are sleeping on this. And if you want to learn geospatial analysis, try to go learn ArcGIS, and there's QGIS. And so just read up about ESRI, so ESRI, but QGIS is free and open source. ArcGIS, you may have to like pay for it. So you can get into geospatial analysis, but getting into geospatial analysis, I would advise if you have at least an understanding of well, like basic data analysis. So just pick your expertise, if it's healthcare, if it's finance, and go deep into it. And as you keep doing more stuff, don't keep moving from tools to tools or boot camps to boot camp. Have a clear learning structure and a clear learning guide. Join a learning community, and you will just and keep talking with people that are in the data space. Ask them questions. You're working on this project, how would they think through it? Let them give you feedback on what you're working on. Also ask yourself, when you're working on your project, are you having a better understanding? Are you, when you're watching the videos, are you also replicating for yourself? Like, can you also go get the data from a different platform and come up with questions and also analyze? So those are the things that really help you to level up in 2025. And you might ask your question with it. You might have question with this whole AI age. Is data field going to stay obsolete? That's a question I'm going to answer in a separate video. But in case this video was a value for time, do well to subscribe, like, and follow. Ciao.